Got ourselves a Yukon here with the front end all completely torn off of it, and we got to do some work up in this region here. Actually, my neighbor's car, we're going to do a little bit of trading of work. He's going to work on the RV, get it all detailed up, buffed and waxed out for us, and I'm going to work on a brush guard mount. He has this big brush guard he wants to put on the front of this thing. He already got started, so we're going to have to kind of back up a little bit and see where the bumper's supposed to go. Because I don't have any idea. Let's get that thing peeled out of there, see what it looks like. Trunk load of goodies here. We got the little bumper that needs to go back on there, and then underneath it is this large brush guard that fits a 2500, I believe. And we're gonna try to mount that out front. This thing's definitely big. Oh, this thing's big. The big old brush guard. HDX heavy duty. Lot of stickers on there, crooked. Heavy duty Westin. We got to get this big boy mounted on the front of this Yukon. He's got some factory brackets, but they're not going to work, so we're going to have to do something custom up in there. The apprentice is figuring out how the bumper fits. This is the bumper, big boy. That's the radiator, and the engine is up there on top. I'll pick you up in a minute and show you. Dad just needs to figure out where this is at so he can tell how far out the bumper slash brush guard needs to be, and also check where those frame horns are in relation to the bumper. Okay, so our frame horns are right here where we will attach, and we have to come out through the bumper and go this way. Looks like the bumper cover itself is roughly 7 inches out from the frame horn. Can you hold it? You got it? It's heavy now. Okay, let go. Well, I might have went too far. Didn't plan on that. It's gonna fall this way now. You gotta keep it leaning the other way. Just a little bit. Uh-oh. Can you hold it again? Yeah. Right there, just like that. Okay.
It's not falling.
Well, if we get it too back far this way, it'll whoop that way. So, you know what we should do?
It will hit our foot.
Or hit you, yeah. What we should do is we should put a board or something in there. Stop. Stop. The lead apprentice is forklift certified, aren't you, buddy? Thumbs up? Yeah. He got her all lined up in front of this Yukon. This thing is just massive on the front end. We're gonna have to do some shimming, tweaking, measuring, and see exactly what he wants to do. Looks like we need to go in more at the bottom, but I don't know if he's gonna want the kickback or if he's gonna want it straight up and down. So a little bit more manual shimming, shifting, adjusting, play with the angle by changing the length of our stick and our ratchet strap, and then we'll send a picture to the customer and see what he's looking for as far as mounting, and then go from there. We got it lined up a little bit better than what it was before. Basic gist of it is our frame edge is right about there, and we got to come out quite a bit wider to meet this mounting bracket right here for the edge of the brush guard. So got some interesting things to do. Still need to get his approval to make sure he likes kind of the direction we're going here, but I don't think there's a whole lot different that you could do with this if your headlights are going to line up. So yeah, I think it's pretty darn close. We can start kind of measuring. It'd be nice if we can get a bracket from the frame rail straight out and just see where it lands vertically to this to know what we're gonna have to do here. Would you just look at it? This is one of the most professional redneckery fixturing that we have here. It almost looks like a gripper on the front of old Johnny number 5. So we took the bumper back off. These are the brackets that came with the unit for mounting. They're not mounted quite the way they should be. Here's a bottom part and a side part. Bottom part's supposed to go against the frame. We got a gap here, but it did line up with a hole there. So we got them on there. I think they'll fit through the plastic cover. Let's throw that plastic cover back on there and just kind of see where these land in relation to the brush guard. Alright, we got this big sucker on here. It looks big. It's really big. But we actually utilize those brackets. They just got one bolt holding it to the frame underneath. Fits right through those pockets in there. Fits right through those pockets in there. But it's not touching on the bottom. I don't think you can see that. But it's just got one bolt on the side. We can pivot it up and down, twist it, and then it's still loose, so we can tilt it in and out. I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. We can kick it back more this way if he wants. But yeah, that looks pretty decent. I have to get him over here to see. Gonna have to get him to take a look at it, see what he wants to do, what he wants to adjust, and then we'll start cutting on those brackets to make them actually hold this thing in place. So we sent a picture to the owner and we got verification. He says it looks really good, but he'd like to see it come down just a little bit. I'm a little worried about ground clearance in the front, but I see it too. You kind of want those things centered on the headlights. So we're gonna take some measurements, get our fancy CAD system out, make us some templates before we take it off. We're gonna try to drop it down a little bit and then get us a piece cut so we can get these bottoms fixed permanently. And also, he did say this was a used unit, and I think this guy is wanged in a little bit. We might try to put a bar on that maybe to bend it out a little bit, but I don't want to break the chrome, so you might just have to live with that. It's just sitting there loose now, so something must have happened there on the previous owner. So this is the factory bracket, and in my true anal retentiveness, I was going to use this. We use this as a starting point, but I'd have to cut it up, and made this template last time to fit in there, which would have worked, and it lined up really nice. But I need to modify this, and I couldn't see cutting it all up to get where we needed to go. We need to take this whole thing and move it in. We're moving it in about 2 inches, and yeah, we'd have to cut all this off and gobble it back together. So we modeled up a pattern. We already made the passenger side version. This one came out with a really nasty bevel on it. I played with the settings on the feed, adjusted it a little bit too slow. It's going to be usable, I think, but it's got a little bit of bevel and it might be a little bit harder to hand bend than the previous. We sliced it at the bends. That way you can just fold it where you want and see how it goes. Worn. A little bit more. Alright, that's really close. Can you see what I'm looking at here? I don't know, you can see. Really close, they're bleeding all over it because it's got sharp edges because it made that bevel. Basically a shorter bracket. This dropped down from our bolt. This clears the bumper. Still capture that same bolt hole in the frame. And to deburr this thing. New pieces bolted on here, and we adjusted them with the tape measure to make sure we were offset the same amount from the frame tube on the inside, measuring in this way, and then width-wise we're on the money, and then also height from the top down. So this should be good to go. We got our cardboard out here, and we're gonna make a new piece to go in there, and hopefully bolt up from the bottom and on the side. We got a little flap here that's gonna fold up. That's the cardboard CAD anyways. Let's go back to the computer and see if we can't turn this into metal and get it. One on this side, one on this side. Those best laid plans. We got our piece here. We forgot to put the line in the plasma, so we kind of eyeballed it on the bent flange. Didn't really work out so hot. So, I don't know if you can tell, when we're up against over here, we're held off inside there a little bit. So, bent flange isn't in the right spot, so we're gonna have to make that go away. Now that we're in here, I'm kind of, I don't know. We're gonna saw this one off. We can always bolt it up in there and then re-weld it. We'll see how it looks, but let's saw that off and see if it fits the profile better. Before I got all saw happy, I just went ahead and flattened it back out. And it fits the profile pretty darn good for going from cardboard to metal. Let's see if we can get a bolt in the bottom of the frame rail so we can bolt it. And yeah, then we'll go from there. We'll bolt it. I think we need to do a little dressing up here on the angle, particularly out here. And yeah, we can weld that. Alright, we got the second gusset. We got the cut line in there, bumped it over a little bit. We should have did the cut line first. It kind of tipped on us a little. Well, we got both of them bolted in from the bottom, bolted in from the side. So this is our new gusset we just put on. And then we put a couple tacks in all the joints on the piece, so it's relatively solid. Still have that ear up there, you gotta figure out. I think maybe we're gonna try to fold it up. This one over here has the other ear, same story. It's relatively, I need to tighten the bolt up on the side, but relatively solid. We'll tighten the bolts up, try to fold these ears up on the inside. Approach this with finesse to make sure we don't damage anything here. It looks like it half lines up. The slot was just a shade closer this way. Other side, you see it? That one looks like it almost lines up as well. See if we can get a bolt in there. Just fits. Now I don't know if we're going to be able to tighten these bolts once the bumper's on. But it goes in. Cardboard template saves the day. I just fitted the bumper the whole time and talked to you and you weren't even on. But the bumper's on there. A little trouble sneaking it in there, but we got it on this edge here. This is what the bracket looks like loose. As you can see, this passenger side, we got a outside, inside, and one in the middle. We're just going with one, even though we made 2 slots. Thought we were gonna use 2 maybe. I don't think we need it. See if we can get this on there when the bumper's on. Ow. I think it is way better than what it was before. Yeah, the bumper's falling down a little bit. Not in where it needs to be, but still looks quite a bit big on this car, but I do think it is better at that lower position. If you look at the headlights, bumper cover's throwing you a little bit here, but it's down just a little bit more where it's supposed to be. I think we're safe to go ahead and weld those bottom brackets out, and then we can be stuck somewhere right around in there in the angle, but then we can start working on what we're going to do to connect the top. We got the new brackets here. Here's the original brackets. I think we're coming in a little bit more beefier. This would be this side. So this is the original bracket. It's getting dark on us. It only has 2 bolts. Oop, scratching the paint. Only has 2 bolts, thin tab, and then this is our new bracket here. If you can tell and see in the dark, we have a bolt on the bottom, a bolt on each side of the frame, effectively boxing the hole into the frame horn here. This big, huge flat plate coming out, and we're offset down the 1.5 inches to get us the right height. So we're gonna get that slap back on there, hopefully get the bumper on for the last time. Then we gotta come up with some upper supports for this guy up here. Back in the cardboard CAD business, we got us a bracket in here kind of mocked up, and one of the only mounting spots that we got here, this is the radiator support hanger off the side of the frame. The same bolt is holding this bracket that we kind of mocked in there. What we're looking to try to do is to come out through here and connect to our upper mount. Somehow we got to go from there to there. A little something like that. I have to rip the band-aid off and see what happens. But we're right close to being lined up. We may just need to knock that corner of the phone out. There's not a whole lot left there. I might just break off when we put our piece in. Slice it for a bend. And we'll drill some holes in the other bracket and get that bolted up there. That's the plan anyways. Really good right there. You know, you may think by watching me do this cardboard CAD that I've done this a lot. Not really. This is actually kind of the maiden voyage. I mean, I may have done one other piece before this project, but really doing complex shapes like this with a plasma, this is really, oops, almost forgot where we want to slice it. That'll let us bend it to match whatever angle we need once the inside's satisfied. Trying to get it on the driver's side now. We have a bracket that's basically like the passenger side one. This one we actually made without breaking it off, so we can bend it a little bit. We're going to try to get that underneath that radiator core support bolt. Goes right down in that vicinity there. And of course, there's all those hoses and lines in the way. I try to sneak it around. Well, that was a fun little battle. The bumper tried to eat my beard, and we fought with that bolt for quite a while before we took it out all the way and ran the nut up and down. I don't know why we didn't do that in the first place. Way easier now. We got it kind of snugged up in there lightly, and we're gonna drill our hole here, see how our front bracket will come in and meet that bracket. Look past the mess here. We got the bar through there. That's obviously our slit that we had from the plasma. Looking pretty decent. And then on the inside, didn't show the slicing action, but we sliced it again there. So it kind of has to kink like this. It goes in and then it kinks back to meet the position of our bracket down there. So that's what she looks like. We're gonna mark the holes there, or the slots in that bracket. It's right, it's touching the cooler lines, but just the rubber part of the cooler lines for this guy. So when we take it out, we're going to slot it a little more down there in the bolt, see if we can slide it over to the outside a little more away from that. And when we put our gusset in, it's probably going to suck it that way. We'll maintain our holes. We'll get this one all painted and bolted in before we complete this piece. Test fit it again, and then we'll weld up our seams. Cool if they had a weld bench or something for this. Super excited. We're almost ready to wrap this project up, or at least we're getting way closer. We got the upper brackets, both inner and outer, bolted in, mocked up. We even loosened the bottom after we got everything bolted in to make sure nothing moved, and tried to kick it back a little bit to get more turn signal clearance with outside bars. That's about as good as we're gonna get. Really, if this bar was back here, or like that, I think it would look goofy at that much angle, so it's probably good we couldn't get it, because it's kind of relatively following the lines of the bumper there. So pretty decent. I think he's gonna get away with that. I think you're gonna get enough side light through there, at least I hope so. Here's the inside brackets, if you can see them. We got that guy bolted in. We painted the inside one, and that's bolted in more or less solid, just needs tightened. This outside one here, we got it mocked up, and we need to weld our seam, take it out and paint it. Same on this side. This one has a double joint because we have a little bit more misalignment. So we have a weld joint in there, and bend joint there. So we have to get this tacked in place there, take it out, weld it, paint it, get it back in there, and then this is more or less done. Might put in some of the grill hardware, but we got it without the inner fender wells, without the bumper cover, and a bucket of bolts. So I don't know exactly how much more we're going to do, but the fab work done is almost done. So that's what we're looking for. We even got a little more sophisticated on these slots. We got the carbide burr out and tried to dress them up a little bit, make them look a little bit better. This one looks quite a bit better. Well, it's a nice, comfortable morning here. We got the classic orange cup, and we got this Yukon still behind us. Yeah, we need to finish this thing up so we can get this thing out of here. We got the brackets hanging from old Johnny number 5 here. Pay no attention to that run that's going to be hidden inside the bumper. Hopefully the parts outside look good. But there they are, welded up. Yeah, let's get those on the Yukon. This passenger side one came out just from the bottom like so, and went in real nice. This one actually can come in from the back side. This is our double bend one. We have a slight jog. See if it still lines up after all the weld. One of these I had to grind the weld out because I got all excited and welded it. Forgot to turn the gas on. Can you believe that? All right, what's gonna do is tighten some bolts up, and I think all our bracketry is on there. Bracket going from the top mount back in beside the radiator and L-ing to go down into the radiator core mount bolt. Same thing on the other side, comes up, changes angle, goes back, goes down and over under the core mounting support. Got to make sure these are tight, and we also have to make sure once it's all tightened it's not rubbing on any of the lines. We're really close to the AC lines over here. Then over here we're really close to these cooler lines. If need be, this thing was all messed up when we started. If need be, we can slide this cooler over a little bit because the cooler lines are right next to it, if you can see it there. Last night we tested the turn signals, and good news, this isn't a turn signal, this is a side marker. The turn signal's up here. So yeah, there's side markers, no side turn signals on this thing. It's just a front turn signal that flashes a little bit this way. So I think we're good to go on that. Was worried, if you remember, about this side marker, but I think we're good enough for a side marker with that window there. At least checking it in the dark, it looked good. Just tighten all the bolts up and make sure nothing's hitting. And maybe we'll set the grill in and that infill piece down there. We have a fill piece down there that's trim, and we have a pile of bolts that I don't know where any of them really go because I didn't take this apart. We might just let him put that back together. He has inner fender wells that need to go in, bolts underneath. Yeah, we're almost done with this job. Got all the bolts tightened up. We got this piece here that has the tow hooks that are brackets now coming through, so we're gonna have to notch that to get this back up in there. Goes right there. Yeah, so this has got to go away, at least part of it. I get Q with it. I don't know how this is gonna cut. Might be better to do 10 snips on this. I'm glad I thought of that. That was way better than what the hot saw would have been. So got that. I think we can keep this side, some of it. All right, there's a piece out. Magically pop over the brackets, and I think it might just go in there. Looks like he might already did some trimming on the pocket. So he might want to cut that completely off, but you could leave that there if he. Christmas tree doodads here. I think that goes there. That goes there. And we can't put the one in the top because it's gone in the bumper. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is the AC line, and it is not touching, and it is flexible, but it's still close. So we're going to put this split hose on it and tie wrap it, so if it does flex and the temperature changes, it doesn't come over and vibrate on our bracket. I wasn't going to put the grill in, but once we got it started in there, it just slid in. I don't know what happened. It's all in there now. We put the 4 bolts on the top. Everything is as done as we are going to get. He's got some bolts underneath on the bumper cover and inner fender well bolts. I'm not sure the order they go in or where they go, but yeah, pretty well laid in there. Happy with how that bottom trim piece turned out. Looks extra shiny in the sun, and it looks way better than what I originally thought it was going to look like after we dropped it down and cinched it in a little bit. You're not going to be able to like run over trees with this thing, but it might help deflect some damage from some small animals. I don't know if it's going to take the 30-point buck, but for the bounce test here, I was standing on it when we were finishing the assembly. That ain't gone nowhere. We got it on there pretty solid. If you hit that big buck or that big doe down in this region here, you might be all right, but if you start hitting it up tall, it might push this front end a little bit. We got the best attachment point we can get. This upper really needs to go back down to the main frame, and there was really no good way to access it there with the crush tube and the foam. To get it back to the main frame, we'd have to go in, over, around the radiator, back towards the rear, back in, and then down to the frame. And by the time you got all those jogs in there, you would lose all your strength. This is a straight line back to the main radiator core support mounting bolt. So I think we should be good to go. The only way this can go back is if it bends that bracket and or breaks that bolt. Get the full distance view here. There's a Chevy 2500 heavy duty brush guard on a Yukon. Got a little clearance check here, man. It's a good thing we didn't go any lower with that, because we would be on the ground. Have to watch off-roading it. Looking straight out, she's pretty tall, pretty big. It's supposed to go on a truck that size.